Reluctant mother Annie Graham is spiraling after a horrible tragedy befalls her family and destroys her relationship with her son Peter. Little does she know, a terrible darkness has descended upon her and what's left of her family, with the ultimate intent being complete and total domination of their souls. Will Annie challenge the darkness of King Paimon, or will she and her family be consumed by it in the absolutely frightening 2018 horror film Hereditary? I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Austin Johnson.
And this is Filmgazm. Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. Our best of the 2010 series continues with my number 5 pick and Austin's number 5 pick, one of the scariest movies of all time, Hereditary, an A24 production that rattled audiences big time back in 2018 and has since become a cult classic and a critical success. My cousin Mysia is here to join us in dissecting this brilliant modern classic. Welcome back to the show, Mysia.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Happy to talk about this.
Oh, yeah. This is the kind of movie that we've been like, when we started this miniseries, this is the one I was looking forward to the most, like, first. I mean, we got, we're getting into the top 5, but this thing, Austin and I first talked about this in like the first 20 episodes of the original podcast. So it's been a long time since this got brought up.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. So, my question to y'all. This movie, when it came out, fucked people up. People didn't stop talking about this. This got into people's heads. This became synonymous with fear. So, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen? What's a movie that got into your head, scared the shit out of you, and never left?
Ladies first.
Right. Well, I have two, but the first one definitely was When Darkness Falls. I think I remember watching that when, I don't know, I was kind of young myself, and the scene where her mask falls and you see her like scorched, burned face, and all the teeth that was in the mask just come spilling out on the ground when the mask breaks. That freaked me out. And that same night was spaghetti night. And I swear, ever since then, I cannot eat spaghetti. I can't look at it the same way it looks like that woman's face. That tore me up for a while. I'm going to be very honest. And then I think the second one was Mirrors. So I don't know how successful Mirrors was, but at the time it freaked me out because every single shadow or every single reflection in any reflective surface at all, a doorknob, a mirror itself, freaked me out. I always had in the back of my mind, when I leave my bathroom mirror, my reflection is still there, planning to kill me and rip my jaw open in the bathroom. Not into it. It messed me up for a few weeks. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah, I've seen Mirrors. I remember the scene you're talking about, and yeah, that was something. Darkness Falls, I've not seen yet. I've heard horrible things about that. Like, I know it's about the Tooth Fairy, and like you're not supposed to look at the Tooth Fairy, or else she's gonna kill your ass, which is such an interesting take on the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, not the best. I think that's definitely like one of the junk food horror films, but that scene in particular really got to me. I couldn't unsee it.
Nice. Interesting choices. All right. Austin, what about you?
Oh, that's hard. It's a good question. I guess when you want this, when you are you're going for this as a fan, you don't really get, scared is a tough word. Like it's, for horror fans to like what actually gets under your skin, whatever. So I think more later on, like more so in my life now, because I'm willing to push the boundaries as far as I can. More so now have I gotten more where like I stay up at night type thing. But there's never like something I can pinpoint from my, early years of watching horror, because I was watching, The Exorcist and The Shining, and those are great, right? They're awesome movies, but they're great movies and they're like these classics. But more so now that I watch more kind of weird stuff, and I guess I could shout out something more recent, The Sickness, that Caleb and Connor, or what's it called? What's that fucking?
Oh, The Sadness.
Sadness.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like that one really was just like, I feel like I need to take a shower type thing afterwards. that's something more recent that I was like, oh, it's just disgusting, you know. Ichi the Killer and Audition, Takashi Miike's movies just make you feel like, ugh, like the fuck was that? But I guess like early on when I was going through, like, well, I was probably like 14 or 15 when I first saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. First time I saw that, I was very much like, whoa, like I like this, but I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how to talk about it or articulate my thoughts. And it just stuck with me in a weird way. But now I'm obsessed with it, and I can definitely, you know, hone in and figure out how I feel about it these days. But when I was 14, 15, you know, 8th grade, you're kind of like, you know, you're at the lunch table and everybody's like, oh, what'd you watch? And you're like, I'd rather not, you know, go there. But yeah, man, I think because I've loved this genre for so long, I want it. So I don't really, you know, bring it on, right? You feel the same way, I'm sure, Connor.
I do. I didn't always. When I was a kid, I avoided horror like the plague because I did not want to get scared. I was terrified of fear itself. That's right. Franklin Roosevelt. Anyway, I I got really freaked out by a non-horror movie called Evolution as a kid.
Yeah.
I've told
Yeah.
that story on this show many times, but that fucking monkey will haunt my brain forever. That motherfucker. I got scared so bad at 6 years old that everything after didn't come close.
Setting the
And
bar.
yeah,
Evolution.
it set the bar way too early, so I couldn't enjoy anything after that. Like I liked these movies, but they weren't getting me. Um, but I do have in 2002 I went and saw Signs, and
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, I was 7, and at the time I shouldn't have been there. And that scene where the alien, you know, at the birthday party walks across the alleyway, and you see this thing for the first time, and everyone's just like in shock. I freaked out again at the movie theater and ran out, and my dad had to run after me, and he took me to the bathroom and was like, "Buddy, it's okay. Aliens aren't real. It's fine. It's just a movie. It's crazy." Eventually, I guess
to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Bastard.
Yeah, as a kid, I'm like, aliens are real. They're here, and they're gonna get me tonight.
Yeah.
But eventually, he like convinced me to go back in the theater, and I sat there, and most of it with my eyes like closed or something. But then at the end of the movie, when Joaquin Phoenix takes the baseball bat and beats the shit out of that alien, I was like, "Get him! Just get him!" Like I was cheering that shit on. Yeah, once I allowed horror into my life, and I think movies I credit with that. Blade.
Oh yeah.
The Omen. The Thing. Once I was able to watch that without my mom's hand over my eyes. I just, I fell in love with it. I never stopped. And now I'm on the hunt for shit like this, like Hereditary, that gets under your skin, doesn't let you, just holds you captive for 2 hours. Because those kinds of horror movies are rare. Because, you watch so much of it, it's so hard to be scared. It's so hard to, because you start pinpicking it. You start like, oh, I've seen that before. Oh, that blood's fake. Like you just start doing that shit. But when you have a movie like this that takes a horrific family drama and then just puts ghosts and demons into that, then it's real. Then it feels like this is something that could happen, which is so weird. Hereditary, it's about like the king of hell taking over a family, but it feels like this shit could happen to you, which is so weird.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because the movie does such a good job of rooting it within the family. You get to know the family so well. The first hour, you're obviously dealing with the grief of a grandmother and a mother, and Gabriel Byrne, the ultimate father, like mother-in-law, and then the daughter, dying. Like I think it's at the 34-minute mark when she, her head gets taken off, and then things start spiraling, and then by the hour 20 mark, you're like, I mean, this is a full on horror movie, and it doesn't really look back until the end. So yeah, I'm obsessed with this one. It's so cool that we both had it number 5 on our list. And it's the only, purebred horror movie that either of us have.
True. Mysia, do you remember the first time you saw Hereditary?
Yeah, I actually saw it kind of later. I remember when it was, I think I barely remember it when it was advertised. But I just wasn't in the headspace of watching it. And then I think after I saw Midsommar, that's when I was like, oh, I think I
Yeah.
like Ari Aster. So let's give
Uh,
this thing a go. And then I watched it, and that was the first time I had been genuinely scared in a while watching kind of a horror film. And I didn't know if I liked it that much. Like I don't know if I really enjoyed that feeling being brought up again, because it made me feel like when I was terrified as a child. I mean, like, just we're gonna get into it later, I'm pretty sure. But just the fact that I'm laying in bed as a full grown adult and I'm like having the covers over my face, like, is there somebody in the corner of my ceiling right now looking at me that I can't see? So for it to bring that, to emit that emotion in me, I kind of was excited actually. I didn't like the feeling, but I was like,
yeah.
wow, this is the first time that a horror movie is actually scary in a fresh way. It was like the storyline of it, like you guys were saying, was really relatable. Um, but also it just had its own originality to it when with coming up with these horrific kind of scenes that stick with you, like that scene that I just described with her being on the ceiling with Annie being there. Um, so yeah, the first time I saw it was kind of after the fact, and I kind of don't regret it. I'm kind of glad I saw it when the hype died down and I was able to kind of digest it for myself without any outside influence. Because it was, yeah, it got me. So it was good. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Austin, you and I, like, our experience with this movie is intertwined. And
Yes.
this was back when we were working at Draft House. This came out and we picked it up, which was rare because our Draft House did not pick up horror movies. That rarely happened. And I guess there was no Pixar that weekend or something. Uh, so Hereditary got one of the big theaters. And Austin, you saw it like the day before I did, and you were like, dude, you got to see this. And you like let me go. You were my supervisor, and you let me go home early because you felt I needed to see this. And there was a showing happening like right then. So I went in
Yeah.
and I saw it by myself at a night showing. And the trailer, I don't know if y'all remember this, but the trailer to this was interesting, but also like laid it out as a pretty traditional, predictable ghost movie.
Yeah.
The movie is anything but predictable. And
Yeah.
the second that scene with Charlie happened, there was an audible gasp in the audience and then just crickets, like silence on a level I've never heard in a theater before. And everyone, I think, realized I'm not currently watching the movie that I was advertised. But this was the first time where that didn't bother me. I was excited. I'm like, where is this going to go next? And when it was over, I sat there for a minute, like, what the fuck? And this lady stood up in front of me and turned around and just said, that was some fucked up shit. And I'm like, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went outside to my car and I had to walk across the empty parking lot at night, thinking Paimon was gonna grab me through the like ground and drag me to hell.
It's just me.
Yeah.
Uh,
God.
yeah, man. This is one of my favorite theater memories of all time. Like, always will be, always has been. Got to see it with a bunch of my like best friends, and at the time my girlfriend, now my wife, and so that's really cool. Came out in June of 2018, so we had been dating for maybe 6 months or so, and horror movies were definitely one of the things that we first bonded on. And seeing that with her and both of us being like, wow, like, this is a classic immediately. Now it's 5 years old already. It's fucking crazy, and
Yeah.
it's still just fucking slaps so hard. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
And I remember Connor, like, we were friends, you know, we were good friends at that point, and we were like definitely kind of picking each other's brains. But there was just something in me that was like, this is the right thing to do. this is the right thing to do, is to make sure that he you know, there's two jobs at hand: to help me do the work of running food to people, and there's the job of you seeing Hereditary, and that one was more important in my eyes at that time. So I'm so glad, you know, in this movie, like, the marketing was incredible. You know, A24, it was the highest grossing A24 movie until Everything Everywhere All at Once. And that's because of the marketing and because horror fans, when a movie gets some kind of word of mouth, horror fans are going to show up. They're going to show out. They're going to give their money to the theater, and they're going to, you know, sit back and enjoy it. So I think it made like $80 million, you know, on a pretty low budget. And Ari Aster is now someone who's going to be able to do what he wants because of this movie. It's crazy.
True. But So
let's hear it. Let's hear it. Come
all
on.
right.
Just get it over with.
I've seen Ari's work. I've seen all of it. I've seen Midsommar. I've seen Beau is Afraid, and I'm worried he peaked with Hereditary. I I did not enjoy those other two movies. I didn't,
Yeah,
and
sad.
but this thing is such a fucking brilliant movie that I'm wondering, like, what happened? Like, what changed? Like, was he given too much freedom? Was he like restrained? Like, what sweet spot was he in where this came out of his head? I, I don't know.
Tough. It's tough. Well, it's I know you're not going to like this, but a lot of people who can't get work in horror, and because it is a profitable a genre, and you can make them of all kinds of budgets. You can make them with all kinds of different actors, and in this case, it just happened to be this kind of just gem where Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne, these wonderful actors, were like, oh, this script is awesome. Like, I want to do it. Traditionally, neither of them would do horror movies, right? So it just kind of was like this perfect wave. And I do think Ari, I don't think I know, like, I think we know this as audience members. I think he kind of used the genre to get in, and then he was able to, hey, let me get a little more creative, use my kind of like European and Asian, influences on Midsommar and Beau is Afraid, which I love all three of them, but Hereditary is certainly the one I like the most.
Well, one thing I don't like about Ari Aster is like his refusal to admit that he's making horror movies.
Yeah.
Like he called Hereditary a family drama, and he called Midsommar a relationship drama, and I'm like, dude, just say you made a horror movie. Like, what's the harm in that? You made one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Fucking own it.
Yeah. Well, he's a strange guy.
Yeah, they all are. Yeah. Mysia, what are your thoughts on? I know you saw Midsommar. Did you happen to see Beau is Afraid? His
I
third
didn't see
movie.
Beau is Afraid. But I don't know. I liked Midsommar.
Me too.
Oh, yeah,
I'm on the island with this movie. I'm the one who doesn't like it. Everyone else does.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it because it was a different take on horror. I think we're so used to, in the traditional sense, seeing horrific things done like in the dark, in the darkness, in the unknown, and the unseen kind of thing. And so for him to like literally base the movie all in light, it was like literally almost always in the daytime. And to kind of add these elements of like hallucinating, especially with the shrooms and stuff, the shroom tea that they would have. So while I was watching, I was kind of like, am I high? Like, did I
yeah
inhale something? Did I eat a shroom? So I think that had like a different effect on horror and the way that I see horror, the way that I find things to be scary, the way that I find lightness to be scary. Because you would think that, oh, if you see everything, if it's daytime, you're safe, but when it's nighttime, that's when you're the most afraid. But then it had me thinking, like, wait a minute, people do shit in the daytime. Maybe I should be on alert with that too. So I just like the aspect of it. I did find it weird when he did say this was more of a breakup movie. I was like, boy, what kind of breakup you going through? Because that's some heavy stuff to be through in that way. Like cliff diving sacrifices. That's deep there. Like, but I did like the aspect of like what's going to happen next, and kind of keeping you on your toes. I know maybe that sans the jump scares and stuff that we would see, but I don't know. It made you rethink a lot, and I think maybe that was the charming element of it to me.
Yeah. The two words I would use to say why I love that movie so much is Florence Pugh.
Yes.
Just like dynamite, absolutely dynamite. I think the movie has plenty of flaws, and like some of the characters are just fucking suck, but the pageantry of it, Florence Pugh's performance, and like Mysia said, just the kind of turning everything on its axis, just like, oh my god, it's so bright, it's so colorful. I'm and Connor, we saw this like at midnight, and it was just like, good god, like, can we like turn the fucking, can we like dim it down a little bit? It was so like kind of in your face, and it's so long. It's such a long movie that you're just exhausted by the end of it. So I get why people don't like this one, and I certainly get why people don't like Beau is Afraid. It's completely ridiculous, but I love this guy. I love this guy. How he's just like, fuck it. I love that attitude. I'm definitely going to see everything he does in theaters from here on out, just because I like that he's going against the grain. It's cool. It's fun.
Fair enough. Y'all make some valid points about Midsommar. I I just hate how similar it is to The Wicker Man. That's what
It
bugs me more
is,
than
yeah.
anything. And
But I'll say this: The Wicker Man, it's the better movie. Let's be honest. But The Wicker Man, the reason like that movie works so well is mainly because it's like a cop, you know, and it's like a guy who's like he's thinking, he's like, like okay, it's like something fucked up is going on here. Get me out of here, like, but I also need to do my job. Whereas in Midsummer, these guys are idiots. Like they're fucking like they're like American Pie level morons. They're just like, yeah, I guess this is normal. Like you know, like what? Like dude, they like almost sacrificed you because you peed on a tree. Like, get out of there. Like, what are you doing? You know? So I see the comparison, especially because the ending, the burning towards the end of the film with Wicker Man and the whole daytime thing and being kind of like on an island. But the Wicker Man is just so focused on what it wants to do. And Midsummer is kind of just like, what the hell, you know?
maybe we just got to bite the bullet and do an episode on it again. I think that I need an excuse to watch this movie again because I know it deserves that. So I think yeah, I'm gonna put that together. I'm gonna rally somebody and we're gonna do some.
You could get myself and my wife. She loves that movie, so she's the biggest Pew fan that I know, and Brianna mostly pays attention to costume, to fashion in movies, and what they did with that dress is unbelievable. And I agree with her. I totally understand where she's coming from. She's obsessed with that movie. So that'd be really cool to get her on board because you know she's not crazy passionate about a lot of movies, but Midsummer is one of them.
That's cool. And we got to see that dress at the Academy Museum.
Yes, we did it. And so did Brianna. And she was like, oh, like she thought we were going to like an Oscar museum. I was like, no, like half the shit here wasn't even nominated for you know, it's just stuff.
Movie museum.
Yeah.
Let's table that. One thing I noticed throughout all three of Astor's movies, very, very fucked up parental relationships. Which makes me wonder, like, what happened to him?
Yeah, he speaks about it. You know, the guy's very willing to open up about some of the stuff that's in his movies. You know, and that Midsommar is directly a reaction to a breakup he had, and the stuff that happens at the beginning of Midsommar is quite possibly the most frightening thing he's ever put to screen. Is the beginning of that movie when you're dealing with the parents of her character and her sister. I mean, that is like the most brutal opening to like any movie I've ever seen. So I hats off to that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like what went wrong? What went wrong? Because then you hear him talk and he's got kind of like a joyful spirit about him. You're like, what? How do these directors do this, man? How do they just like flip that switch of, you know, going ultimately dark? But he can, and the guy's crazy knowledgeable about his movies, and he knows what he's talking about, knows what he's doing. It just doesn't quite click for everybody. But we need that, right? We need divisiveness. In art, we need conversation. That's why it's fun to do podcasts on these kind of movies.
That is true. If it was all just, you know, agreeable, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
If every movie was amazing, what's the point?
I love trying to meet people halfway, like on their passions. And if I like don't quite, you know, click with it or whatever, I love trying to find out like what it is and try to meet them and see, you know, you get like, it reveals like character, you know, like reveals something, you know. I many times, Connor, you and I have just been like, okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Let's move on. It's cool. It's like healthy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you were constantly trying to get me to like get on board with some like story list crazy nonsense, it'd be so irritating if I was constantly jabbering you to be like, no, find the fucking story. Yeah, we can't do that.
No, it ain't happening. now, Mysia, are you going to watch Beau is Afraid? Is that like something on your list or no?
Well, this is the second time it's been mentioned in my life, so probably yes. Now I think I have to have to tap into it and just kind of like observe the differences and similarities throughout all three now that I've seen Hereditary and Midsommar. Yeah, and then really like dive into, I don't know, some of the ways in which maybe, because you know, you can watch a movie one time and get a certain like understanding or vibe or feeling from it, and then you watch it again and you may pick up other things that you didn't catch initially, or maybe you see it in a different light. And so I think that's also the joy of films and of movies of this caliber as well, and especially like Ari's work, because even when I rewatched Midsommar and even Hereditary this time, I was able to pick up on different things. I'm like, oh, I didn't even make that connection the initial time that I watched it, or even the second time that I watched it.
Yep.
So it's kind of the movie, like movies and films can kind of evolve and change as you evolve and you change from like
Yes.
perspective. And so I think that's what makes it so much more dynamic. And I think that's why we're able to have discussions like so rich like this, because you can have one opinion and then like Connor over there is tinkering away at possibly maybe Midsommar is that I don't know. Like
Yeah.
so, and I think that really speaks to the nature of I don't know, especially in Hereditary, like looking at fear and horror and like these family dynamics, and yes, maybe like actual demons, but also the demons in family and like how that translates to maybe this supernatural spiritual thing, but also has like real life implications and can kind of like mirror itself in that way. So like, what is it about this unknown, unforeseen thing, this like feeling of hurt, of grief, of death, of life, that can then, I don't know, like be dissected within a family dynamic where there's so many complexities with each character and how they're interpreting that death, that grief, that life, that death, all that. So it's, I don't know, it's fascinating to me. So I feel like I should definitely watch them, see where his headspace was at, see where my headspace is at, and how it compares through each watch as well. So I'm eager for that now.
Yes. Yeah, I preach like rewatching is so vital to like your experience. You just never know. You know, if you watch something when you're 17 and you're like, that kicked ass, and then you watch it when you're 25, it's gonna change. Most likely it's gonna change. You might like it more, you might like it less, but like that rewatch is so vital. That's my favorite thing about podcasting is putting a movie kind of on a pedestal and giving it awards. Like really forces you to like reckon with how you feel about it. And I that's like been so rewarding for me, because now if I'm in normal conversation with like my other friends in my personal life, I feel so confident about how I feel about a piece of art because I've like practiced doing it here. And so when I bring it out there, it's like, okay, like I can really, like, these people don't want to get me started talking about Hereditary because I'm gonna own the conversation. They're gonna be like, what's wrong with that guy? But that's okay with me. I've like grown to accept that, and I love that about it.
That's great. Yeah, the second watch is a very important tool in being a film buff, because there's, I've had moments, especially lately, because I've been working my way through my own collection and watching stuff I haven't seen in years, and some of that stuff is dog shit. And I didn't know that at the time. When I was a kid, I'm like, this is the greatest movie ever. Now I'm like, I can't even finish this. This is terrible. Yeah, it's funny. And yeah, Midsommar is one that I can remember I gave that like a 5 out of 10, like a letterbox equivalent of like 2 stars.
Yeah.
But again, as well as the Wicker Man stuff, I also watched that movie when I was in a bad mood. So that also might have contributed. Yeah. So it deserves a reevaluation. Bo is Afraid, however, that was fucking weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Like we saw that, like we saw like an advanced screening together. And a couple times we looked at each other like, oh dear God. What drug are we supposed to be on right now? I don't really know. It's just like a buffet of just wild shit.
No. This is great. So let's talk about the production of this movie. There's not a lot, but it's worth talking about. This is the debut film from indie up-and-comer Ari Aster. As a film student at the American Film Institute, Aster was brought to A24's attention with his 2 short films, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons and Munchausen. Have either of you seen those?
Of course, both. Yeah, they're frightening. Strange Thing About the Johnsons. My last name is Johnson. I'd rather stay away. It's just like so fucking weird. 30 minutes of like, it's probably the weirdest shit he's done, even over his feature films. Like, it's just such an odd, why did this happen? Like, why did you make this type thing? So yeah, I've watched a ton of his stuff. A lot of it's available on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, when Hereditary came out, I was like full on obsessed with the guy. So I went down some rabbit holes.
Nice, very nice.
I think I actually did see the strange things about. Sorry, I think I actually did see the strange things about the Johnsons. And yeah, that was interesting. I think I saw that after Midsommar, and I kind of discovered some of his other things. Yeah, and it was weird. It was a trip, but it made sense. it made sense in the
Yeah.
context. Yeah, because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, he's just a
Yeah.
trippy guy.
Yeah. he just likes really fucked up families. Okay.
I've had a few people recommend that to me. I'm gonna have to just watch it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's like 30 minutes, about 25 to 30 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, do it, man. You're gonna be like, huh, what the hell?
I don't watch a lot of short films. I don't know what it is. It's like I don't know. I'm still working my way towards short films.
Well, it's yeah, I mean it's I do because of Criterion, because they have so many like high quality ones. Like they've got like Scorsese shorts on there and stuff. So it's like, oh, I'm watching people that I recognize, right? But it is kind of like, oh, I could watch 5 shorts or I could just watch a movie, you know. So it's kind of hard. That's how I feel about TV. Like, do I really want to like start binging a TV show, or do I want to just watch a film and take that story and like figure it out in my own head? So shorts can kind of be looked at the same way. It's kind of like, oh, how many do I watch? You know, do I devote a whole day to an 8 minute short? I don't know.
Um, well, he pitched Hereditary as a family drama, not an outright horror movie, because I don't even to a lot of people these days, horror is a dirty word, and you don't want to be known as the horror director, which is some shit. But he is who he is. I found this very fucked up. The script resembles a real life incident from
Yeah,
2004.
in Georgia, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
so
yeah.
here's the deal. So John Kemper, yeah, this is fucking crazy. John Kemper Hutcherson accidentally decapitated his childhood friend and passenger Frankie Brome on a telephone pole support wire after the latter had leaned his head from the vehicle to take a breath. He was drunk, and that happened. And then Hutcherson drove home with Brome's headless corpse in the car, went inside and fell asleep until a neighbor noticed Brome's body still in the truck the next morning, called the cops. Ari Aster has never commented on this.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that whole like real Breaking Bad guy. You've read about that guy?
Yeah.
It's like so oddly similar, some of the stuff that happens, and Vince Gilligan's like, yeah, that might have happened. It's like these creators are like, sure, it's like, yeah, we know what you fucking read about this, dude. Like, come on, it's way too close, dude. Can you imagine? I mean, my God, like a childhood friend, like Connor, if you're in the back seat of my car or passenger seat, whatever, it's like, I just locked the window. Like, no, you're not gonna do that, my man.
Yeah,
that ain't happening.
If you killed me by accident, I don't think, yeah, you'd fucking just you'd be gone. And if I killed you by accident, I'd be gone. Like, I don't know how you can't come back from that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it is absolutely brutal. Like, all jokes aside, it's like one of the like most frightening scenarios I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
And then to be able to go to sleep after it.
Well, I mean, it's shock. Like, what do you do? I mean, how do you can't comprehend what you just did, so your body's probably just like fucking reboot.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Yeah. Reset. Yeah, and that's like what one of the best parts of the movie is. I would say at this point, maybe properly rated, but at first underrated performance from Alex Wolff, and the way he reacts to that. And he kind of like, he's trembling and he's like, are you okay? Like, he starts to ask if she's okay. You're like, what the fuck? Oh my God, dude. It's just insane. Like, that scene every time still just, boom, it gets me. I just jump back like, fuck me. Like, and it goes back to kind of what you pointed out early on, Connor, is the marketing of this movie, the trailer. You were led to believe that Millie Shapiro, Charlie, was going to be like our main character. Mm-hmm. And she's in a quarter of the movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's brilliant misdirection. And just from there on, you just don't feel safe. You feel like if you feel like you've been snatched out of the theater for the movie you went to see and got forced into this movie you were not expecting and are now trapped in.
Yeah. And you can't look away. You're like, oh man. Yeah.
And then later the shot of her, just her half her fucking head covered in ants.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It was intense.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. Yeah, I couldn't believe when I read that like happened in Georgia between like 20 years ago or whatever. I was like, what in the hell, man? Like, that's bonkers. Probably in some like, probably some, back roads in Georgia, it's just one of those things that, like, what do you do? You know,
two good old boys get fucked up, and shit happens.
yeah, fuck.
Oy. So yeah, I find it interesting that Astor's never like talked about this. Like he won't admit that you read it in the newspaper, you put it in your script. You can rip off real life all the time. No one can sue you.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if like he met some crazy dude named Bo who had like a overbearing mother and a cock and balls monster father. You'll know what that means when you watch the movie. I should.
Yeah. Also, he clearly has like an issue with attics, because in Hereditary and Beau is Afraid, there's like weird attic scenes. It's like, what happened to you in the attic, man? When you were a kid? Oh, dear Lord, I don't know. It's insane. I admire the willingness to go back into his past and be like, here it is. I'm fucked up. I need therapy.
These three movies are the weirdest, like, therapeutic sessions. Like, let's talk about your relationship with, your grandmother, Hereditary. Let's talk about your breakup, Midsommar. Let's talk about your parents, Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't. You remember the movie The Cell when like Jennifer Lopez goes into the crazy dude's mind? This is the last dude I'd ever want to go into his head.
Right? Yeah. 100%. That's a good movie. So
yeah, underrated. Toni Collette joined the film first on the strength of the script, even though she was reluctant to do another horror movie. She's not a big horror fan, but she read the script and thought, "Oh, this is a brilliant descent into madness, and I would like to be a part of this." And
thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the movie they say hail Paimon, but hail Toni Collette. I love that lady. She's the greatest. This is like this is like the coolest piece of her arsenal of like great performances, is this kind of like back of the pocket, just like I have that Hereditary performance that very few actresses of her caliber are willing to do.
There's an argument for this being maybe the greatest performance of the 2010s. Like, this is an incredible, visceral, real performance of a mother just losing everything. It's so perfect. It's so heartbreaking and just brilliant. It's mesmerizing.
Yeah, she's the best, man. God, she's the best.
And then we got Gabriel Byrne, who's just there to be dad and be like, please stop yelling at the children.
And I love that his occupation is psychiatrist. Oh, you'd come in handy, my man.
God. Hereditary was a big success for A24, grossing $83 million on a budget of only $10 million. $10 million for unbelievable. To put that in perspective, the most recent Indiana Jones movie, I'm going to keep talking about this because it blows my fucking mind. $300 million budget, $100 million for marketing.
Yeah.
Did not make it back.
Yeah. Not only did it not make it back, but like people don't like it. So, it's not even like, oh, its legacy is going to be cool because people enjoyed it. It's just like, oh, it came and went. And there he goes. Sad day for Mr. Ford. Yeah.
It's that movie's success, quote unquote, is like if Raiders was like getting a yearbook photo taken very professionally, and then Dial of Destiny is just like running behind it in the background to catch, like to be part of the picture. That's what it feels like.
That's good. I like that.
Anyway, yeah, this was A24's biggest hit until Everything Everywhere obliterated that record, and it's gonna be hard to beat because A24, they're a big studio now. They've produced a lot of recognizable and beloved films. They've got Oscars, but they're still considered pretty niche in terms of box office.
Yeah, and Everything Everywhere it was in theaters for so long. It had such a huge long run. It'll like go and come back and do that whole bit. Oh, it won the Oscar. It's back. That whole thing. So good for it. It's a great movie. It's fun stuff. But yeah, I don't think it's happening again for a while for that company.
Well, we'll see. Maybe Talk to Me will be a sleeper hit like Hereditary. I mean, I doubt it, but maybe. I think
that movie will it'll make its money back and do well, because like all of their, the Lighthouse and The Witch and all these kind of like A24, just horror movies, they always do well. They always like make their money. They budget of 5 million, 10 million, make 40, 50. They always just do their job. And so that's why the company's been able to just keep distributing films, it's because of their horror output. Like I think a lot of people have a problem with the way it's gone, just because some of them have been letdowns and whatnot. And I totally agree. I totally understand it. But they still have these genre movies that are so sick. Like I'll always be grateful to that company, even though sometimes they basically misguide you with their marketing. So, but I'm still very grateful for, there's like 50 movies that I love that they've distributed. So I can't complain.
Yeah, I can, and I do.
Glass half full over here, glass half empty over there.
Yeah.
Hey, they gave you your boy Brendan Fraser's Oscar, so
they did.
You got to be.
I've yet to be disappointed by their dramas. I love their dramas.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, they've got like some of the best, like Moonlight is like one of the finest movies of the past 10 years. So stuff like that holds it up to like a standard that you're like, okay, at least they have those.
Yeah, The Whale had me sobbing uncontrollably. That's one of the most depressing movies I've ever watched. But god damn, did he earn that Oscar?
There you go. Everything ever all at once.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I like them. I just, their horror stuff. They need to get their marketing department together for that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Hereditary has an IMDb score of 7.3, Rotten Tomatoes score of 90%, audience score of 70%. So quite a disparity there.
Yeah.
Critics' consensus reads, Hereditary uses its classic setup as the framework for a harrowing, uncommonly unsettling horror film whose cold touch lingers long beyond the closing credits. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Yeah. The film is currently streaming on Max.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it is. It is, isn't it? You also have it in your Vudu. So
I do. If it's there, I don't even look anywhere else. I'm like, I know I have it, so who gives a shit?
Mysia, how'd you watch it?
I think I actually don't remember because I watched it a few years ago. But I know it was definitely like at my friend's backyard, like with the movie projector and stuff at night, like in the backyard. So it was definitely like the perfect setting, and it scared the hell out of me. So yeah. I think we probably just like ordered it. I don't really remember those like 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
But it was a great watch though, and I was just listening to what you guys were saying earlier, and I don't know. I like the way that A24 has really like, I don't know. They just capitalize on the emotion, and I think maybe that's what resonates with a lot of people with their horror and just like their general dramas. And for me personally, I just like the originality of it all, and I think that's what's for me at least really captivating and alluring, and really separates itself from the rest of like mass-produced films that kind of like stick to one script. Like especially with some horror films, they kind of have like a general theme of like how things are going to go. And so by the time you're starting the movie, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. Here's the peak. And then here's the ending. And maybe like a slight twist, but there's really no major changes to the thread of the film and its trajectory. But I think with this, especially with Hereditary, it did something for me that it had a different impact with horror. Definitely scared the hell out of me in a traditional sense as well. Like just with Chick on the Ceiling.
Yep.
And then the acting really hit home because it was so deep. So you're like emotionally invested in it, and then you're scared shitless at the same time. Yes. So that hits completely different when you relate to the characters, even if they're kind of disjointed, like Alex Wolff's character, Peter. Like even and earlier when you were talking about Austin, like how he was decapitated his sister, and it was kind of like, you good?
Yeah, you okay?
I think that just illustrates like how disconnected he is like from that family. Like his mom fucking hated him, and then hated him even more after this. And it just like personified the disconnect of who he is. Like he was like the black sheep of the family, and you felt it, especially in those moments. So it really hits home in that way. So I think that emotional investment really brings out the scares for me, at least. So
yeah, good fucking point. Yeah, it really is a masterclass, and obviously we wouldn't be here if we didn't all believe that, to talk about this movie. But it is when I think about the past 10 years in horror, I'm just like, man, they just did it the right way. I wish we had more of those, but then again, I don't, because it makes this one so special.
Yeah, true. I do think that A24 as a company, their best strength in all the projects that they greenlight, that they encourage people to bring to them, it's all about real people dealing with real shit, whether it be horror or drama or comedy. Like it's always somebody that you can relate to, somebody who feels like a real human being with layers and problems, dealing with a crisis of some sort. That even if it's, it could be, like uncovering your identity as a gay man, or it could be fighting the fucking king of hell, and it's still going to be somewhat relatable because it feels like it's coming from a real place.
Mm.
And I don't know how they do that as a production company. Like, like you couldn't say that about like Warner Brothers or fucking Lionsgate, but A24, it's consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is oddly consistent. There's like an aesthetic that, gets kind of like parodied and made fun of, but you got to respect their decision making, and not only I love all that you said, and also that the people they choose to get behind, these writer directors, a lot of female directors as well, a lot of diversity through like the directors of these films that fall under the A24 umbrella. I love how many chances they've given people to have a voice, show what they got. I mean, you can go back to like Greta Gerwig's first movie is Lady Bird. It's with A24. Like, look now. Like now, Greta Gerwig's Little Women has this Barbie movie that's doing really well, and people love it, and that's huge. To like help them get a start and like get behind that voice. I have mad respect for that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah, beautiful. Yeah, this is great. All right, well, with that, let's give Hereditary some awards.
Woof.
First up, we have the best line of the film. It's a great script, a lot of memorable dialogue and moments. Who wants to go first?
Ladies first again. Come on, go ahead, Mysia.
We have to take turns now. Like,
I mean,
all about equality here.
I can go. Oh, Jesus. Like I'm still, all the other words I have figured out, but the best line is like, oh my God, I love the screenplay to death. It's so difficult. And like, I want to choose a really long one, but I'm like, I don't know if I should do that. But I'm going to go with the last line, because I think it's so creepy and so fucked up and ties the movie together. And if you had any wonder about what's going on, Ann Dowd tells you what's going on as Joan. She says, "Oh, hey, it's all right. Charlie, you're all right. You are Paimon, one of the 8 kings of hell. We have looked to the northwest and called you in. We have collected your first female body and give you now this healthy male host. We reject the Trinity and pray devoutly to you, great Paimon. Give us your knowledge of all secret things. Bring us honor, wealth, and good familiars. Bind all men to our will as we have bound ourselves for now and ever to yours. Hail Paimon." And then all these naked people scream, "Hail Paimon!" And you're like, oh dear God, I'm crying out of exhaustion, and I want to get out of here, And then fucking Joni Mitchell, both sides now plays at the credits, and you're like, Jesus Christ. I can't handle myself. But I love that the movie is not just for some reason, or it's not just a bunch of creepy stuff happening. It ties it together with real stuff that's been written by crazy people. These ideas, when you're dealing with demons and devils, and it can be really intimidating. But for me, I've always been very fascinated by it. And so I immediately, when I got home, movie ended, I went up and I learned as much as I could about Paimon. What could this guy do? Like, what was he capable of? What's that spirit capable of? And throughout the movie, there's little things that you see that are like, oh, because Paimon, not all the 8 kings can fly, but Paimon can. And that's why when Toni Collette is fucking, is possessed by Paimon, that's why she's fucking floating and flying across the room. It's like only Paimon is can do these certain things that have been done. It's so fucking cool. Like, it's out there, but man, if you really read about it, Ari Aster knew what he was doing, and I have mad respect for that. Like, what a crazy paragraph to put into your movie. So I had to choose it.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's the summation of what the hell has been going on.
Yeah.
Is so twisted, and just so to be smiling about this, hey, it's all good. Payment's here. Woo. That's the freaking, like, they're not like evil, like we're gonna destroy everything. They're like, hey, we did it, woo! Like they're so happy about it. That's the freaking part of that whole scene, is how sweet natured everybody is about this.
Yeah, whenever they're together, this weird group of people, they're just like having a good time, fucking eating cookies and like, woohoo! Like, come on in. Like, let's worship Paimon. Come on.
And
you're
Satan,
like,
and have a lovely afternoon.
Yeah, it gives you a sense of delusion with it though. Like it's so they're so happy and excited about it that it's like, do you realize what's actually unfolding? And I'm pretty sure that they do, but I think that's what makes it even creepier, is that the delusional aspect about it. And you're just like,
I feel like if you're gonna sell your soul to to a literal devil, and you're willing to do this shit to like make that happen, I feel like hell is not gonna be that bad for you. Like I bet that's gonna be like sandals. I mean, just those people view hell as like, it's like Hellraiser, the whips and the chains and the flesh tearing. Like that's Tuesday, and you're excited. You're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I like in Hellraiser, they're like, I'm fucking horny.
Jesus wept, my friend. This is
We're like, oh, who can I fuck? Yeah, it's so ridiculous. I love this genre so much because of like what you just said. It's the culmination of like the strangest ideas we've ever had as human beings, and you can like put them on the screen, and the whole power behind, if you believe it, it's true. Like that's the strongest attribute that horror has, is if some wacko is like, yeah, that like I'm seeing a demon right now. They're seeing a demon, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, you're not, because we're like, stay away, I'm good. But they're going through that at the moment, whether we like want to believe that stuff or not, they believe it, and it's not up to us. So fucking hell, man. It's crazy.
The power of suggestion is fucking crazy and hard to quantify, but it works. I mean, there's cases of demonic possession and shit all the time that are, could be mental illness, but it could also be just a pure, powerful belief that it's happening.
Yeah, I think
that.
Yeah, exactly. Like who are you to like fight another human mind on that? It's up to them to like go through that. And I've seen some stuff firsthand that I was like, whoo, like I didn't know that could happen, but it did. Body shaking and shit. And trying to take something out of somebody so that God can go in or whatever, what have you. And it's wild to see, because it makes this kind of stuff all the more real, these kind of movies.
I picture like an exorcism. I know this is fucked up, but it's the image popped into my head. I picture like an exorcism, like a game of dodgeball. Like the priests are like trying to knock the demon out, and then like God is on the bench, like waiting for his moment, like when the priest catches a ball to just go in there. And yeah, that's how I see it.
And that should be a horror film.
Yeah,
I would.
Yes,
I would love to watch that. God versus the devil in a game of dodgeball.
And Ben Stiller is the devil, and Vince Vaughn is Jesus. Yeah,
Dodgeball 2 is that right there.
Oh yeah, you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge possession. Yeah. Dear God.
Beautiful. Mysia, what was your line?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the scene where the grandmother dies, and Charlie's like, well, who's gonna take care of me now? And then her mom is like, excuse me, you don't think I'm gonna take care of you? And she's like, yeah, but when you die. So there was so much like compacted in that. I think it illustrates the relationship between honestly everyone in that family against like Annie, against Colette's character. But also like it sets the foundation for like, what is she talking about? Like, who was actually taking care of her? What is this ominous presence that is around her, where her mom is obviously present, that she feels more comfortable with? And then now that this thing is gone, or seemingly gone, like, what is she really talking about? Who is she really talking about? So it kind of like, it was one of those layer builders for me. And it just had so many like multiple meanings, and I really liked it. It talked about the family dynamic, Paimon and the demon thing. It's just a lot of intersectionalities within that short.
Yes.
And I love it.
That's like one of the most powerful scenes on a rewatch, because you know it's coming, it's down the line. So I totally agree. That's a great call. How about Millie Shapiro, man, as Charlie? She is so good in this movie. I want to see her more. I was reading she's like a stage actress, so she does a lot of stuff Broadway, and you can see that there's like a crazy amount of talent oozing out of her. But like, I want to see her in more movies. She was incredible in this, and that scene makes you think, and it does that thing where you're like, can we see a prequel? Like, can we see like what was going on? But like, you also don't, because you like want to leave that origin up to the imagination. So great, that's a great pick.
I love like that scene like emphasizes the title of the movie, Hereditary. Like you don't know really what you inherit from your family. Like
yes,
the idea that your grandparents or your great grandparents were into some dark shit that is now going to fall on you, like that is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
For like I got great grandparents I've never even met. Like I know one of my great grandparents was he participated in an exorcism. So I don't know, that shit. I've seen some weird shit in my apartment. I've woken up in the like standing in the middle of my living room. Like I don't know what's going on. So what if, this isn't something I conjured? What if it's something a family member 2 generations ago conjured and now it's fucking my problem?
Yeah.
Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, we may be through with the past, but the past ain't through with us.
Fucking Magnolia.
But then what's crazy is like it's the whole concept that like Annie's character, like Colette, was trying to protect the family from that because she kind of already knew what was up, and so the kids were like kind of oblivious to it in a way. And so it really pans out in like real life human dynamics where your parent may know how shitty your grandparent is, but like your perception and your relationship with your grandparent could be like completely different from the relationship that your parent had, with them. And it kind of illustrates that. And then the hereditary nature of it, sometimes genes jump different people. So it's not going to be a linear line that continues with whatever's passed down. It can kind of jump generations. So it's just really interesting, this dynamic, because like Charlie's character like was really comfortable in the darkness, and like that was something that she thrived in. That was something that like her grandmother was feeding her on purpose. And maybe even like Paimon was already prepossessing her in a way, kind of prepping her for this moment. So she had a different relationship to like Annie, who was like, nah, I ain't about this life. So
I think it was like it was stated that like Charlie was supposed to be a boy because Paimon needs to have a male vessel. So like Paimon was in there, but like fucked up and didn't know what to do, and so the kid had no identity. Mm-hmm. Like Jesus.
The line that like, we corrected your female body is like, oh Jesus Christ, like just what these 2 kids have to deal with, and before they're even fucking like 18 is insane. You don't have this impact without these performances. They're so good. They do such a good job of playing these 2 kids that are just battling shit. And I think we haven't really spoken about the setting of the movie, like the house that they live in, that it's like, where is this? Like they're in the middle of nowhere, but like he rides his bike home at times. Like, what's the lay of the land here? When they go to the party, it's like clearly in the middle of nowhere, and he's like driving on a road that there's no one there. And so I'm just like, man, that's such a crazy decision, because you're always kind of just like perplexed, like, where exactly are we? What's going on? And then inside the house, it's like a weird Shining type deal where like it feels like hallways change, rooms change sides at times. You're like, man, I don't know. And then I looked it up, and that house is all a soundstage. It's like the outside of the house is a real house in Utah, but everything inside that we see is all built on a soundstage. So each room is separate, which is why it has that kind of dollhouse aesthetic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like the camera can like zoom in and you see like a room and a room next to each other, is because everything's built on a soundstage. To kind of to like, make your way around that so efficiently and so like oddly is a huge reason why I love this movie. It's like why I go back to it, is to kind of study the map of it, to like figure out like how the fuck did they do that, and the answer is they built a soundstage in fucking Utah. Like that's crazy. I can't believe they did all that, and again bring up that budget again. For $10 million, they made this thing look incredible.
Mm-hmm. It's the aesthetic is perfect. The dollhouse thing is, she makes miniatures, so it feels like she's not even, nobody's in control of this movie. No, they're all being manipulated like dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And
Ugh.
Paimon's the one with the fucking marionette just watching this shit go down.
Yeah. Yep. Ugh.
I feel so bad for Gabriel Byrne because he married into this nightmare. And like you don't know what family, you don't know your wife's family's secrets.
Yeah.
Shit could fall down upon you years down the road that you are not prepared for, and he's clearly not prepared for this.
Yeah, dude, one of my favorite line readings in the whole movie is Gabriel Byrne going, "Jesus Christ, Annie." It's just like, fuck. What are we doing? Guess who just called me? It's fucking Peter in hysterics. He thinks someone's out to like, get revenge on him. Like, you crazy bitch. He's so angry. He's so like, I'm fed up with this shit.
Yeah.
But he has to stay there. He's like the only thing trying to go like treat each day as normal and like try to keep moving forward. He's the only one. I used to think when I first saw the movie that Gabriel Byrne, because I know how talented he is, I was kind of like, oh, it looks like he's phoning it in. And then now I'm like, no, this is an awesome performance.
Yeah, self-control and trying to be the one person, the one sane voice at the dinner table who just wants to be like, can't we just heal? Can't we just find our way past this? And just trying to be that guy, but you can't heal this kind of pain.
Yeah, when she's like, oh, like I didn't make dinner, and he's like, I made dinner. You can come, stay. I don't give a shit.
Yes.
Like, man, this guy's going through it.
And then at the end, he ends up dying. Like,
oh yeah, just burnt to a crisp. Yeah, like
I love a devil that burns other people for your fuck ups.
Right.
That's just great.
Dude, crazy. Connor, we haven't done your best line, have we?
We have not.
All right, let's hear it. I'm curious.
Mine is quite a long one. It's Annie's freak out at the dinner table, like soon after the incident, and it's a monologue from Toni Collette. It's what they would have fucking played if she'd been nominated at the Oscars, but horror. God damn it! I'm still angry about that. I'll never.
Oh yeah,
be okay with that. That was the biggest snub ever.
I think so. I think her not like even being nominated, and then I think same decade, Ray Fiennes not winning in 2014 is completely bonkers. Both probably two of like my favorite performances of the decade.
Right.
What do you expect?
That's what we're talking about next week.
Yeah. What do you expect though?
Yeah. She's arguing with Peter. Peter says a little naughty word, says a swear word, and Annie says, "Don't you swear at me, you little shit. Don't you ever raise your voice at me. I am your mother. You understand? All I do is worry, enslave, and defend you, and all I get back is that fucking face on your face. So full of disdain and resentment and always so annoyed. Well, now your sister is dead, and I know you miss her, and I know it was an accident, and I know you're in pain, and I wish I could take that away for you. I wish I could shield you from the knowledge that you did what you did, but your sister is dead. She's gone forever. And what a waste. If it could have maybe brought us together or something. If you could have just said, I'm sorry, or faced up to what happened, maybe then we could do something with this. But you can't take responsibility for anything. So now I can't accept and I can't forgive because nobody admits anything they've done." Like, oh, Christ. That is like half a movie's buildup of resentment towards many different things, boiling over into this just shriek of a moment. And you get it on so many levels from so many different people. This is such a horrible situation to deal with. And he feels horrible and she feels horrible. I mean, what do you do when one of your kids kills another one of your kids? How, as a parent, how the fuck can you ever deal with that? And he can't. And my favorite part of that whole thing is like, maybe what a waste. It could have brought us together. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then Peter's just in tears the whole time because he's going through some shit.
Yeah.
And, oh boy.
Yeah. Peter's like, I like a girl at school. Can I just do that? Can I just like be 16 and like the girl that sits in front of me in fucking geometry class? Like, can I do that?
All he wanted was to go to a party and get a little fucked up. But it's weird that she made him bring his like 8-year-old sister to a high school party to start with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's to me the biggest flaw of the movie is like, what? This isn't youth group. Like, this isn't like a church thing. This is like kids from a high school hanging out, smoking weed. I know she doesn't like know that, but she does know that in the back of her head. And just like, why? And like, your daughter like doesn't want to go. She's obviously got a little bit awkward. Just like leave her alone. I've always been kind of like, what is going on in that scene? Why is that decision made from the mom
Well,
to send her? Is there some Paimon shit going on there?
that's what I'm thinking. It's like Paimon needs Peter. He doesn't give a shit about Charlie. He's like, I need that dick. That's what he's thinking. And I think he whispers into, I know what I said. I think he whispers into Toni Collette's ears, like, hey, Charlie might want to go to that party.
Yeah.
And I think he influenced that because he knew he's a devil. He knows what's going to happen. Why not?
Yeah.
He can see the future. I don't care. So
okay. I'm glad you brought that up because Paimon, he's one of the 8 kings who can see the future for I think 10 years or something. So
that's weird that he has a cutoff point, but okay.
He does. It does. It has like real rules and like real stakes to it, which is why it's so interesting. Because you're like, that one can't fly, but that one can. That one can see the future, but that one can't. It's funny. It's like Reservoir Dogs when they're like, "Can I choose my name?" They're like, "No. We're gonna give you what you get. And you're gonna fucking accept it."
I wouldn't want to be a king of hell if I couldn't fly. I feel like flying is like one of the best parts of being a demon. Like that sucks.
Well, yeah. If I couldn't fly, I'd be like, I mean,
I'm not even going to sign this book. You can't have my soul if I can't fly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would like certain things in my contract as a king of hell. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, let's negotiate here.
You call Saul Goodman, you have him work up a perfect contract so you get everything you want, so nobody gets fucked over. That's how you do it.
Yeah. So come on, but as you were saying, Paymon's probably, hey, Charlie wants to go, and they do say at one point, it makes it like a little more realistic. They do say that she's 13 at one point. It's like, okay, 13, he's 16. That's
still pretty young for something like this.
And it's not so much her age. It's like, come on, like look at her, dude. Like she clearly struggles. Like, come on, help her out.
It could also be subconsciously. I mean, we know Annie doesn't like Peter. She's always had a problem with him. So it could just be like, I don't want him to have fun. He's going to be watching his sister the whole time. So it's like almost like a punishment.
Yeah, and I think she definitely has a clear affinity toward Charlie more so than Peter. So like she definitely sees her daughter in higher regard. So that is kind of like also rubbing it in his face. I don't value you. I don't want you to enjoy yourself. And I want you to always remember that your sister always overshadows you in everything that you do. And so here I'm going to force her onto you in the situation so that you can never escape it, even when it doesn't even call for her to be there. Like,
that's really exactly what happened.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, this
like she really is like better. Vindictive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the one flaw I had. It's not a flaw anymore. So thanks, guys. Yeah. This movie went from a 10 to a 10.
But then it kind of backfired on her because I think that was her vindictive nature coming out. And so her most prized possession, which was Charlie, one of her 2 kids, was killed, and she's left with her less favorite kid. So it's kind of funny. So she's kind of left to face her own demon, if you will, with like resentment toward her own son.
Yeah. So. With that fucking face on his face. Yeah. Such a great line. Fucking face on your face.
Nobody wants the silver medal when, the gold fell out of the car.
I also have a question, though. Did you guys realize how different Peter looks from the rest of the family? Like, is it just me? I thought he looked like he was for sure adopted. Like,
that's what I thought. Yeah. I thought that, like, when I first saw it, until the scene where she's like, I tried to, like, have a miscarriage, and I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
it's pretty dark.
Maybe Gabriel Byrne's not the father.
Mm.
Maybe she cheated, and that's where all this comes from.
Maybe, yeah, because he's got like darker skin, like deep, like black hair. Yeah, I've always wondered, what is that? Because it's clearly her, her child. Because she says also in that, that monologue when she's at like the session. Like lost the loved one thing, which is really like all the Paimon weirdos hanging out, and they're just like, all right, I'm an alcoholic and I love Paimon, and she like says, like my first son I kept away, or my firstborn I kept away from my mom, but then like the second one, Charlie, she like dug her hooks into her or whatever. So I wonder if you might be right, Connor. There might been some infidelity there. You know, you never know. Early on in the marriage.
Yeah, or it could have been, Paimon trying to get, a boy early on, and he maybe posed as, I don't know, some guy. I don't know. There's so many possibilities here. It's a movie you can read differently every time, which are the best ones, where you can kind of see new ideas pop up from time to time. They might go nowhere, but they might also just influence your viewing experience a little bit better. Like that's always cool.
That's the juice. Yeah. And for what it's worth, like I'm glad they casted him because he's fucking dynamite in this movie. I feel bad for him because he's always talked about how it fucked him up, like making the movie and being on set, and he's like, really screwed with me. But
it got better because he did Pig with Nicolas Cage, and he said that was a beautifully pleasant experience, and him and Nick Cage became really good friends, and they've stayed in contact. So I think that helped him work through a lot of that shit.
It helped him get back into like the movie business, which is great. All you need is Nick Cage, right? Is to just kind of reel you in. Hey man,
he's
gonna be all right.
He's the cure for what ails you. He's the best. Beautiful. Okay. Music moment. This is a creepy fucking score, and there's a lot of great moments to pick from. What do you got? Who wants ups?
I can keep going first, and then Mysia, then you finish this off.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a excellent score. The piece I chose is the kind of, it's called Morning, and it's like the post what happens to Charlie. It kind of bleeds into him laying in the bed, and his eyes are just wide awake up until Tony Collette Annie goes outside and just starts screaming. Just that image of Peter laying in bed, like, what the fuck just happened? This is obviously very much a life-changing moment. And this score, I mean, right there is just so good. Colin Stetson, like, this score is just wicked good. So I think you can choose a lot of stuff, but I listen to this score on Spotify like all the time. So I knew where I was going, and Morning is the track I always get kind of like freaked out by the most.
I don't know if I could have this score in my head like that. I don't know if I could listen to this on repeat like that. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm not sure. This one and Midsummer's score. I love both of them.
Yeah. I think that probably like bolsters some of the themes, the motifs that we see, some of the acting. It really it adds to that scary factor, especially like in Hereditary. And I think I liked Steve and then the Reborn, and I think Reborn was used the most. No, I can't quite remember. If I just remember, that was like the theme of it. That one, it's fucking scary. Like I don't know, like when you listen to it by itself, it's scary. When you listen to it in context of watching the movie, it's fucking scary. Like it's setting you up for everything, for the drama, for the possibility of the scares, for the weird shit that you're about to learn, for the weird stuff that's unfolding before you. Like this is scary.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Connor. I probably couldn't just like sit and run through the whole thing.
I did. I got home from work. I was like, oh, I need to take a shower. And so I put the score on like while I was showering, and I was just like, yeah.
That's a mistake.
So, yeah. Maybe, but here I am,
You don't know, Paimon could be in you now. So set yourself up.
Yeah, it might be. Might have been for a while. I don't know.
If he starts clicking his tongue, I have to go get Brianna and Willow to safety.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It's weird because I have the score from the Omen on my iPod, the Gregorian chanting evil. I have that, but this music freaks me out.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love that because you always have like the lines, like imaginary lines in your head, and some of them. I think it depends on how often you like just go down that road. And I've seen Hereditary, I don't know, like 20 times. I'm so comfortable with it, so familiar with it.
See, this movie to me is like the fine china. I bring this out on special occasions when somebody tells me they haven't seen it, or I'm feeling like, or there's a podcast like. I want to, you got to preserve the flavor. This isn't a consistent rewatch movie for me.
Yeah. I'm definitely in the opposite boat. Like it's one of those where I'm like, movies suck. And then I watch them like, no, they don't. They're great. I love them. This is why I do it. It's like comfort food. You know how you have like weird things, and everybody has those weird movies that they just turn to. I turn to Hereditary. Turn to Paimon, baby. Come on.
Goddamn. I also went with Reborn. That is such a creepy. It's so uplifting. It's like evil wins. Paimon lives again. Hallelujah. Like that's the vibe this music has, and it's just so, yeah. It's triumphant. It's like the horns of Gabriel heralding the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's so fucking freaky, and yeah, you have this vibe of like, Satan wins. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but it's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Great score. Awesome. Performance. I think we all know where we're going here.
Yeah, come on. This is Tony's show. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I don't even know what to say anymore about her. Like, I just love her. So I love her anyways. Without this movie, but then you add this movie to her filmography, and you're just like, she's the best. I love her for who she is off screen. Like just always been enamored by her. Probably ever since I saw probably Little Miss Sunshine. When I saw that when I was like 12 or 13, and I was just like, man, that lady's cool, And then you just get older, and you're like, oh my god, she's like one of the best actors I've ever watched. So I'm totally obsessed, and she earns every kind of praise in this movie as Annie. So she's got to be the winner.
Yeah, without a doubt. For me, it was The Sixth Sense that introduced me to Toni Collette.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that her performance in that movie is just so raw and very similar to her character in Hereditary. Just a little bit more optimistic and loving of her son.
Yeah.
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 Toni Collette wins.
Yeah.
I think she wins, but I'm not gonna lie, I did write down Alex Wolff simply because
he's great.
I love the disjointed nature of his character, because it just seems so out of place every single scene. Like the things that he would say, the way he would react, him just physically being there looked like he shouldn't have been there. And I think that was just like really emphasizing the terrible relationship that he had with his mom, and like how he kind of felt like the black sheep of the family to begin with. And I think how that was kind of done purposefully in so many different ways, especially for this like demonic ritual for Paimon to like take on his body. So I don't know. I remember watching it the first time and I was like, I don't like this. It was a terrible actor. Why'd they do this? And then when I watched it again, I was like, oh no, it's supposed to be this way.
Yes.
We're supposed to be uncomfortable with him because his mom is equally uncomfortable. Like I can sense it all now. It all ties back. Like mom hates him. You feel bad, but also you're like, but I don't really. You shouldn't be here.
I think that shift comes about halfway through, because the first half of the movie you're really watching this through Annie's eyes, and then that shifts, and Peter becomes our main character really, and now we're seeing the world through his eyes as he uncovers like the destruction his actions have caused his family and just everything that happens because of that. Now we're through him, and then the end is just through Paymon's eyes really.
Yeah.
Great. With that, best scene of the movie, and there are some contenders here. What do we got?
So this is hard. This is really, really hard. There's two like big scenes that I like a lot that I've always been obsessed with. But if I'm like being really honest with myself, there's like specific moments that I love in this movie, and there's kind of like three different Toni Collette moments that I two of them are kind of like next to each other, and one of them is kind of in a separate spot. The ones that are together are Toni Collette when her head's banging on the attic door, trying to get into the attic, and he's like, "Mom, like stop!" Just the pounding over and over. And then like 2 minutes later, he's in the attic and he's like, "Huh, something's going on here." And then he sees his mom with the piano wire, trying to cut her head off. Those two Toni Collette moments are like, oh man, like she's just the best. And then there's this scene before in the movie when Peter is smoking weed like under the bleachers with his fucking weird friends, by the way. Like, bring your dick. Like, what a weird text message. Like, you fucking 16-year-olds suck. All the like weird toxic masculine texts that he gets from his friend, like what the fuck is wrong with you guys? You know, I wasn't like that when I was 16, but whatever. That moment when he goes home, he's on his bike and he goes home, and Tony Collette's in the fucking car, and she's just like this, like just staring, like her eyes are barely open. And she's in the car waiting for him. And then whenever he just looks at the house, like fuck, fuck, fuck. Like everybody, the two people that are in here don't even really like me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not my home. He goes in and she just drives off. And you're like, man, where is she going? What is she up to? It's Toni Collette, just her demeanor, everything about her. I'm just a sucker for her. I've always thought she was built for this genre, but it's really cool that she's only done it technically twice, like big horror movies. So, well,
there was Velvet Buzzsaw.
Depends. Yeah, yeah. That one's. I love that movie. I don't think I love it, but it's like really entertaining, and it's got a lot of fun. It's got a lot of fun actors, but that one feels very. What's the word? I don't know. It's like toying with different genres and whatnot. You know, like Hereditary knows it's. Ari Aster doesn't know, but like the movie knows it's trying to freak the shit out of you. You know. But yeah, she'll do some genre stuff for sure, but Hereditary is such this like bone chilling thing, and she's at the center of it. So those three like Collette moments are the ones that I'm always like glued to the screen. Like, oh man, like you're just watching greatness.
I bet it was Paimon who texted Peter to bring his dick. That would make sense.
Yeah, I need it. I mean, quite frankly, Charlie's not going to do it, my man. Yeah, his friend is so fucking weird. Like the text messages when he's in the classroom and the teacher's like, Peter, are you with us? And it's like all these like, what? Like, what's going on? What's the dynamic here between these two guys? You know, like I want to know more about that. But yeah, the bring your dick text messages always cracked me up. Holy shit, huge party at Aaron's, bro. Like, bring your dick. You're like, okay, like you guys are 16. Please come off it. But yeah, Collette, she just has those like moments that I've always been obsessed with. There is a scene that you touched on, Connor, earlier that you used for your best line that I think that's probably like the strongest scene in the movie. But I'll let you guys kind of take it away from there.
Sure.
Yeah, those are good choices. Yeah, I think that dinner table conversation.
Yeah, it's unreal. Like,
because I think a lot of us can relate to having some sort of dynamic like that with some family member at some point, or maybe
correct
internal dialogue toward another family member. But yeah, I think what you said, Austin, about like Annie chasing Peter.
Yeah.
I think that whole entire scene when she's on the ceiling, he's like, what is going on? And so you see him and you see her kind of in the corner like a spider, and you're like, what is this? And so I think that for me really, like I was saying earlier, that brought me back to like childhood me, younger version of me watching horror, feeling like genuinely terrified. Like I think after I saw it the first time, I literally went back home and I was afraid to go to sleep because I'm so serious, and I've never felt that way before. So I think that scene for me was like one of the best in terms of like horror, in terms of like being genuinely scary and frightening, and kind of building up that anticipation toward like, what the hell is she about to do? What's going to happen? How is this going to end for this guy? Because it don't look good. And then there's just a lot of emotionality that comes with that too, because Peter's like, Mom, like, I love you, Mom. Like, don't kill me. Don't hurt me. I've always loved you. I care about you. Like, do you not see me? So it's also this plea of from him, like toward her, of like, I am your kid. I am your son. Like, can you just finally love? It kind of feels like a confession to her, though she's possessed. And it's kind of like a reaction to that dinner table scene, in my opinion. Like, she's kind of just blurting out his stuff. He really didn't have much to say. There's nothing he could fit in toward that. And I think this was kind of like his, please, like, stop this, accept me, love me. But she's foregone at this point. So I think that scene was the best for me.
Creepy, but also like following that in a weird way, through Paimon, Peter does get the love and respect he's always wanted.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucked up, but yeah, you know.
Yeah.
God.
His headless mom is like, I worship you. Yeah. Okay. Huge Joni Mitchell. Jesus.
It's almost like, yeah, it's like setting up a punch social now. It's like, well, we did it. So who wants to talk to the King of Hell?
Yeah.
But yeah, the scene where Annie is just crawling on the fucking wall. People crawling on the wall like that in movies scares the fucking hell out of me, which makes it weird that I love Spider-Man so much. But yeah, just that image. Ever since I saw The Exorcist 3, that shit has just fucked you up.
Yeah. Exorcist 3 is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good picks, guys. Really good picks.
I think there's so like every like frame of this movie is just like, oh fuck yeah, like it's just like to die for. Like one of my favorite decisions in the movie is the day to night cut, like boom, like where like it's like a light switch. I'm like, oh, that's so sick. Like I'm just like so into that. Like last night when I was watching, it took me like 3 hours to watch it because I kept rewinding, me like, oh, what just happened there? You know, I want to be ready for the pod. You know, and just there's just an obsession I have with it where if other people are like willing to talk to me about it, I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna give everything I've got to this movie, like give it back to it while I'm watching it. You know what I mean? So like, don't cheat the movie type thing. Like, allow it to like fully be immersed. So this has been absolutely amazing, you know, to be able to talk about this with you guys, people that clearly care about what's going on here. I mean, it's just so bonkers. But are there any other scenes that you guys feel like maybe we haven't touched on? We've talked about a lot.
Well, my scene is one we've kind of danced around, but not really discussed.
Okay. I figured, yeah.
It is the scene, the immediate aftermath of Charlie's death, where Peter is just lying there, and you hear, mourning happening outside of him, and Annie goes outside and just sees her daughter's fucking headless corpse in the back seat, and has the most visceral, real reaction to that, like to death that I've ever heard in a movie. It hurt. Yeah. It felt so real. My heart skipped a beat. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like it hurt you physically to hear that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just go from there to the funeral where Annie's just freaking out. It's done so well. The sound design is so perfect. And it's all just zooming in on Peter's disturbed, emotionless, fractured face. And you know what he did. You know he feels horrible. You know that this is going to destroy everybody. And that's what happens. Ari Aster does not let you have a moment to breathe in this movie after that moment.
Yeah. That's a great call. The movement of her, like when she's in her bedroom, like, I just want to die. Like, Jesus, just let me die. Is like, it just takes like the horror genre and like it's just like breaks through it, just totally denies any reference we have to anything, and that's like one of my favorite things about this movie is it continually like we haven't really talked about Ann Dowd, but my God, like what a villain. Like she's like ultimately like the villain of this movie. She's like doing a lot of orchestrating, and this seance scene when she's speaking to her grandson, Louis, like it's like disgusting. Like, oh, Louis, I love you too, and Tony Collette's like, oh my God, get me out of here, It's such an incredible horror scene. The camera flip when Tony Collette goes back to her, like the old Kubrick trick when she goes back to the apartment, I guess, or whatever that is, and she sees the embroidered fucking doormat, and she's like, oh, I know she's connected to my mom, and it does that flip in the hallway, and you're like, oh man, like bad stuff's about to happen. She goes home, she looks through the fucking album and sees the pictures, and she's like, oh geez, like I've done something horrible here. Like I've done something really bad, and I need to help get rid of it. But it's too far gone. At that point, it's too far gone. She let it in, with when they did their own seance at their house and all that stuff. I'm totally obsessed with. It's like this movie doesn't have, to me, like scenes. It's just a string of like brilliantly constructed stuff. So I'm totally obsessed with it. But yeah, I mean, I could talk about it all day.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'm surprised none of us had the actual decapitation sequence.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I thought
favorite
about
scene.
it. Yeah, I
No one
mean,
wanted to be that guy.
Yeah, we can talk about Tony Collette slicing her throat, but God forbid, God forbid Millie Shapiro getting her head knocked off.
I should say one of the film's decapitation sequences.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of heads fall off.
yeah.
Oh, geez, man. Yeah, I mean, but it's brilliant, And he's like, "We're almost to the hospital." No, you aren't. You're like in the middle of nowhere, dude.
Yeah, I feel like telephone pole or no telephone pole, Charlie was going to die in that back seat.
Yeah, the line. I almost chose the line because it has always freaked me out. Coming from like a young child, a young girl who is out of place, saying, "I think my throat's getting bigger," is like, oh, like that's frightening. That's a frightening thing to hear a little girl say. And she's like allergic to nuts or whatever because Gabriel Byrne says, "Oh, does that have nuts in it?" And she's like, "No," so something's up there. So it kind of it gives you that little seed, plants it, and then later in the movie you're like, "Oh boy, like something bad's about to happen." So that line reading of I think my throat's getting bigger, like the kind of the even keeledness of Millie Shapiro on that scene is like, what? Like so eerie, so creepy, so unsettling.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That set up so well with the nut allergy and the chocolate cake and just
Yeah.
God.
At what high school party will you find like chocolate cake with nuts in it? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah. Like
every high school party I went to, it was chocolate cake without nuts.
That's what I'm, like I don't understand.
It is
crazy.
Thing,
I've always
it would be a big bowl of weed that you could just grab from, not chocolate cake.
Like
yeah. Like who was like, oh man, I forgot to eat. Let me have some of this delicious chocolate cake. Like, get out of here. Like that's just there's no way. But I mean, he does have pot, and he's like, I got pot. It's like a little baggie. It's like, I mean, come on, like. I've always loved that Peter's like, I got weed. It's like you have a little bit. It's not like this is for the whole party. This is like for like a little room of 3 people. And then that dickhead on the bed is like, is your sister hot? God, I hate those people. I'm so glad I'm past that stage of life. Have moved on to talking about Paimon. Thank God.
Yeah, you made the right decision. Oh, beautiful. Any other scenes you all want to spotlight before we move on here?
I know I'm gonna think of shit when we stop. You know what I mean? That always happens. Like oh shit, what about that? What about Gabriel Byrne's fucking eyebrow? The way you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that if you don't stop me, I'll keep going. So let's move on.
Okay.
I think I have one more. I think overall, just like the setup for this movie was kind of like this dollhouse motif, and like seeing Colette like kind of tinkering away with these little these miniature people on the beds and stuff, and it's kind of like you're already getting a glimpse of what's to come. There's a lot of foreshadowing with some of the rooms that presented kind of beforehand, and then it's kind of like this. I don't know. You feel like there's this game of chess going on of like who's really running the show, who's really in charge. When people think they're in charge, who is the doll, who is the doll master kind of thing.
Ooh, yes.
So I really loved how that framed the entirety of the movie, even though it wasn't like as prevalent throughout. But it definitely holds a lot of weight when you're like watching the story and seeing it unfold. So I just love that little setup because that minor touch like makes a big difference, and it really puts everything in perspective. I think it kind of summarizes it within a dollhouse.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I read somewhere that like people who have dollhouses, like, or adults who have dollhouses who play with miniatures like that, it's a way for them to take control of something because they have no control in their own life. And you definitely feel that with Annie and her relationship with her mother, her overbearing in her, constantly in her business mother, who was really just, trying to groom her kids to be some, Satan vessels. But Annie just, uses these miniatures as a way to be able to just have something that's hers and know what's going to happen to it.
Yeah.
And it's something we all strive for in our life, to have control. And when you don't have it, you spiral and you don't know what to do. And we see Annie just consistently lose control. in this movie and react to it in terrible ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus. That's good stuff. I love that. I love kind of the foreshadowing that you guys pointed out, and the kind of the analogy, just that the whole doll master idea is, it's really fascinating. And it makes it even more fascinating when she destroys it.
Yep.
She just destroys her whole workshop, and Gabriel Byrne's like, oh, another fucking Tuesday. Oh, the dad's just like, great. This is fun. Yeah, I'm having a grand old time.
I feel like the whole time he's just whispering to himself, I love my son, I love my son, I love my son, I love my son. He's just reminding himself, like, you can't leave. You can't, not yet, you can't leave. Jesus. Dark shit. Well, let's get some levity up in here and see what Letterboxd has to say on our final segment, What's in the Box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Hereditary has a 4.0 out of 5.
Let's go.
It is a 5 out of 5 for me, straight up. This is a perfect horror movie. It really is.
Yeah.
So I have 5 reviews, 3 negative ones and 2 positive ones. I'll do the 2 positive ones just to get those out of the way.
Yeah.
This first one is from Ava. Why was there a 9-year-old sitting next to me during this 1:20 p.m. showing? 4.5 stars. Boy, if I thought, a blue monkey in a PG-13 comedy fucked me up at 6 years old, this kid's going to need years of therapy.
Yeah.
Or he's going to rule the world because they're now Paimon. Yeah.
Yeah, or they'll be like, oh, I'm going to model my entire life over this movie. Like, this next one had me just cracking up. It's from James. After watching this film, I think I can answer Michael Jackson's question and say without a doubt that no, Annie is not okay.
Oh my god.
Nope. She gets struck by a smooth criminal for damn sure in this movie.
Well played, James. Well played.
Yeah, that was good. 4.5 stars.
Nice.
Okay. And these 3 reviews these people are, I don't know if they watched the same movie. This first one is from, I shit you not, Wispy Dick Eater. All one word.
Nice.
No post-credit scene. 0.5 star.
Wow.
No tease. Why am I even here if I don't get to watch the sequel?
Oh, brilliant.
These negative reviews, half of them are trolls and half of them are just idiots.
Yeah, he's just listening to Joni Mitchell, can't wait for that post-credit scene. It's like that Bill Hader thing that's going around where he's dancing, and people put whatever shit they want to put.
Hereditary 2, Charlie's Revenge.
Yeah, I don't. Hereditary 2, just I don't want to go there. Yeah.
No. This next one's from Man of the Circus. I know. I don't know where these names come from.
I love it.
As expected from the director of Midsommar, this movie was an absolute waste of time. Dreadful special effects, plot points forced in where they didn't have explanation, and overall poor storyline. Even if you watch this for free, you'll still want your money back by the time you're halfway through this awful excuse for a movie. 0.5 star.
Oh.
I'm so angry.
Ouch. God, I don't.
What was he watching? Because
I never understand that when you can watch a movie and just be floored by it, and someone else watches it and be like, I don't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah. To quote my good buddy Matt Stepter, he always says, man, people watch movies differently. No
True.
shit.
I mean, this happens with me and you, Austin, a lot because you'll watch some Fellini movie and feel like, oh, that changed my life, and I'll watch it and I'll be like, what the fuck was that?
I mean, I mean, even with Ari Aster's other 2 movies, I'm definitely a big fan, and you were just kind of like, fuck, get out of here. What are we doing?
That
What are you
actually
doing here?
segues perfectly into my last review here. It's all about Ari Aster.
Let's go.
Okay, this is from Cade D9.
Okay. KD9.
You just wait until I get my hands on Ari Aster. You might be saying, Cade, you should be the bigger person. I am. He's 5'3". It's not hard to be the bigger person. That is all. Please read my Beau is Afraid, also a shit movie, review for more information on the hate I have towards this quote-unquote artist. Everything he stands for is the antithesis of good. He should be banished from society. This movie is not deep or beneficial in any way and only serves evil. Whatever demon Ari Aster worships is getting its ass kicked by Saint Michael as you read this. Eternal L, demon worshiper. Ari Aster, I hate you. But seriously, this guy is so fucked in the head, he needs to be institutionalized. Roundhouse kick a demon, half a star. Holy shit.
Oh.
Wow, St. Peter, when did you get here?
I know.
I loved every second of that.
I love the people who watch like religious themed horror movies and treat it like, you know, oh, you're going to hell. Jesus Christ did not like this. Like, oh my God.
Oh man, that is brilliant. That was a great what's in the box. Probably my favorite so far. I love just how angry people can get, you know. If I don't like a movie on Letterboxd, I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It wasn't for me. Other people are like, you know, fucking bullet points, you know, fucking PowerPoint, bring it out. Let's fucking tear this guy down. I don't have it in me, you know. I don't have that amount of negative energy to just pull someone down to hell. You know, I just don't have it.
It's surreal. Some people like they take it so personally. Like Ari Aster walked into their house, dragged them to a theater, and was like, "You're gonna watch my new movie, or I'm gonna shoot you in the fucking head."
Yeah, here's the thing: is it sounds like a lot of people who don't like him, they didn't like Hereditary, they didn't like Midsommar. It's like it's your fault for going to see Beau is Afraid. It is on you, like no one else. And if you continue to do it, because he's gonna make a bunch more movies, if you continue to do that, you know that is on you. That is money you wasted for it yourself. So I can't have any, you know, sympathy for these people. I just can't.
Yeah, they're the same people who go to a restaurant, order something, and it's fucking disgusting, and then like 2 weeks later they'll go back to the same restaurant, order the same thing, and be surprised when it sucks again.
It's like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I do not know, but yeah,
I can't. I simply can't.
I brought up in my Beau is Afraid review how like I didn't like this, but you know I'm the guy who paid to see another A24 horror movie, so it's on me. Like I brought that up.
Yeah, and you told me, I remember a few days later, I think you told Colton and I, you were like, I'm just not gonna see them in theaters anymore. These auteur A24 horror movies, I'll just maybe see them down the line, or I won't see them. There you go. That's a healthy relationship with movies. That is knowing yourself, understanding yourself, and just being like, I'll leave it over there. You know, because there's an audience for it. You don't have to be a part of every audience.
I'm also a huge fucking hypocrite because I have tickets to Talk to Me next week.
Of course you do. 2 months later, god damn it. I was gonna ask you after we recorded if you were going to see that movie next weekend, and you are, or this weekend, I guess.
Yeah, I've got Talk to Me tickets and I've got Haunted Mansion tickets, so I'm hoping, you know, one of them's gonna be good.
You're gonna see that Haunted Mansion?
Yeah, that looks. I like the cast. You know, I like Lakeith Stanfield. I like him. He's cool.
I'm skeptical.
Oh, extremely. Isn't Rosario Dawson in it too? And someone else that I like. There's a few people I like in that movie.
Riz Ahmed, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I love Riz Ahmed.
Owen
Wilson.
Yeah.
Come on. I love all those people.
Yeah. I mean,
Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah, Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish is back. All right.
Disney's track record with adapting their rides, I mean, has been not as bad as you would think.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like you say that out loud and you're like, hey, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean exists. Yeah.
Yes. Jungle Cruise was okay. Tomorrowland, I thought was all right. There's a lot of okay.
Yeah.
And since I have the season pass and I go see everything for like $2, I'm willing to try okay.
Yeah, you know what it means. You're going to Draft House, you'll get some fucking chips and queso or some shit, a fucking, Dr. Pepper, whatever the hell, and you'll sit back and at least you're seeing a movie, right? You're supporting the cause. So
yeah,
there you go.
I mean, Disney needs a break. They're not making enough.
Yeah, support the cause. The cause is like fucking in The Master. It's like Scientology. It's a stand-in.
The cause.
The cause. This is the book. Oh, Jesus Christ.
This was really, really fun, guys. Thanks for being here to talk Hereditary with me. Ah, so much fun.
Hail Paimon.
So our series continues next week with my number 4 and Adam's number 4, Wes Anderson's 2014 comedic masterpiece, The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes.
Yeah, very excited. We did this pretty recently, but it's the kind of movie that we could do again and again. It's just perfect.
Well, so I was looking at that. We actually did that one quite a long time ago on Oscar Sunday, Budapest Hotel. That was a long time ago. But we did go deep into it when we did Birdman 2014 Best Picture Showdown.
Yes.
We talked about Whiplash and Budapest Hotel as much as Birdman because we both love those two movies.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. That was back when we did Oscar Sunday, and like I went through like the entire like every Oscar nominee from the movie. And in Budapest Hotel, there's like fucking 50, so it like took forever to get through all of that. This will be a much different episode because Adam's going to be on it. It's y'all's number 4. It's going to be a blast always. It's just such a pristine movie.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. We're getting towards the tail end of this thing, and we're in the top 5 now.
Yeah, we've crossed that threshold. Yeah, it's just going to get better from here.
Yeah, very cool. This was a blast. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com or send us a message through the socials. Check out our Letterboxd account for daily reviews. If you search for me at Connor95 and in my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out the website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to that letterbox. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month, and all donations go right back into the show. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their contributions. Thanks to Cooley Cow for our awesome theme music. Thanks to you for checking it out. Well, until next time, don't promise any of your children or grandchildren to King Paimon. Take it easy, keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.